So let's talk about civility. And we were talking during the break that civility is not something you teach, it's something that's learned by example. And Henry, you said that maybe we're not setting as a generation such a great example.
Well, the people who are in front of TVs or in front of the cameras, okay, when you hear the diatribe that they're spitting out, they're spewing hate almost on a perpetual basis. Now, I understand Ron and I may not agree on a lot of things, but we agree on some things. But after we're done, we're still friends. So why can't we have that for the people who have the public eye, the public ear? You know, the Maxine Waters, okay? People invading the time when you're sitting down there at dinner with your family.
Right.
There has to be a line. The heckling of Jim Acosta, I think that's wrong. Okay, let's start to portray ourselves. Let's start dropping, or stop dropping the profanity in front of the TV prompter, okay? From the president on down.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny, and his reaction to the Sarah Huckabee Sanders thing, and was to point out that they had dirty windows and dirty back room
and an awning. And the awning.
Yeah, why don't they clean the place up on the outside, because the store is not clean on the inside.
Okay, that right. I don't get that, but you know, that is actually, and those words though are just nothing compared to see some of the things you see. Mm-hmm. And you have then people picking these up on Facebook and repeating them, and you have these memes that are out there that are just vile, mm-hmm. in my opinion. And in my mind, we never get anything done if we can't sit down and at least talk about things civilly. And we talked about the fact that civility is one of the character counts traits in the Washington County public school systems. Wow, I hope they do a better job of teaching it than the examples we're seeing.
But it starts at home, okay? It's our job as parents and grandparents to lead by example to our kids. We may see it on the TV, but we have to let our kids and grandkids know that's not acceptable, mm-hmm. okay? We may disagree with our next door neighbor or something that's happening on TV, but we don't need to, you know, bemoan that statement. We just have to say we disagree. We don't have to call them Nobama or, you know, Donald Trump or whatever. We need to raise our level of conversation so for the next generation that they can be responsible and they can learn to engage again.
The problem is we seem to have short memories with regard to that as well, especially when it comes to politics, because when our guy's in office, we hate that the other side isn't civil. But when our guy isn't in office, boy, there are a lot of people that are not so civil. Would you agree?
I do agree. And you know, I see it from people on the right side, I see it from people on the left. Well, he's not my president. You know, we heard it 4 years ago, we're still hearing it today. He's not my president. Well, it doesn't matter. If you're a citizen of the United States, he is your president. Right. Okay? Give respect to the office.
As was Barack Obama, as was George Bush.
Exactly.
As was Bill Clinton, as was all of them. All of them.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the specific issues that have come about in the last couple of weeks, though. This Paul Ryan thing saying Maxine Waters should apologize. I believe Mrs. Waters was incenting her people to basically practice incivility.
Well, you know, what Maxine Waters was totally out of line. Totally out of line. That shouldn't have happened. The Trump rally was totally out of line, what they did to Jim Acosta.
Yes, it was.
And when we have this going on continually, one has to up the other one. Then somebody else has to do it. Civility and these issues start at the top. And if it doesn't improve at the top, how do you ever expect it to improve down the chain?
It can start at the top. It doesn't always start at the top.
But why can't it?
It can, and it should, and I agree with that.
And why doesn't it?
Well, I don't know the answer to that question. But
I mean, you talk about the Red Hen. I've been in the Red Hen restaurant. It's a very nice place. And somebody said you ought to call up with with 45 people. The place only holds like 30. So it's very small. But the whole issue is, we just had a Supreme Court hearing a case about the guy making a cake for a gay wedding. He should not have to do that. If you don't want to serve somebody, should you have to serve them?
Whoa,
Did
whoa,
you-
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Okay.
I disagree with you on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you disagree civilly?
Yes. I'm trying to.
Just checking. I'm
Okay.
kidding.
Yeah, but you're
But we go back to, if a black family comes into a restaurant, are we going to say, no, you can't eat here? We have to decide what battles we're going to wage. If you're saying, well, it's my religious preference that I do not make a cake for a gay wedding, I want to provide you with alternative bakers that can do that for you. Okay, that's a religious freedom. We have the freedom of speech. We have the freedom of choice. If you know you're not welcome,
How do you mean that's a religious freedom?
if he says because of his religious beliefs that he can't condone a gay marriage, but if they want to come in for a birthday cake, he's going to make them a birthday cake. That's his religious freedom to do so.
And I agree with that.
But we're talking about a political disagreement. And that's part of where we're saying civility really has to count. You have to be able to sit down with people who disagree with you. We have to be able to sit down and have conversations. And if they're willing to spend their money at your establishment, whether you agree or disagree with them, you should allow them to do that.
But isn't that same argument applicable for the cake?
But we're citing an infringement upon his religious beliefs. This isn't religious, but it's a political
Yeah, and
belief.
here's the problem. You know, and and Ron pointed out to me early this week. In fact, I think he made a special phone call to me to point out that, hey, you were all about the baker shouldn't have to bake the cake. What about this thing? Are you gonna take the same
Supreme
side here?
Court said he don't have to do it. And if you don't want to serve somebody, you're a culinary specialist. If you had a restaurant and didn't want to serve me and come in, you say, come up very nice. I'd rather you leave.
I
Which is what
worked
the
for a
Red Hand people
gentleman
did.
a long time ago. He had a restaurant in downtown Hagerstown. There was a couple of color that came into the restaurant. And they didn't tell him that they wouldn't serve them. They just did everything that they could to discourage them from dining in the restaurant. I found that vile and disgusting.
Yeah, but there's nothing about color in what we're talking about now.
But what I'm saying is, the owner decided he didn't want to serve them.
She didn't.
The owner, okay, decided they did not want to serve. And
Here in Hagerstown.
Yeah,
Okay.
regardless of whether it's someone of color or someone with different political opinions or someone because of a religious belief, decided they're not going to serve them. Our Constitution protects someone with religious beliefs. It doesn't protect someone because you're an idiot and you're a bigot. It doesn't protect someone because you have a different political mindset.
Back to the civility thing for a second. Well, this is all about civility, but here's what I like. Jim Acosta, who was just treated horribly at that rally, turned around. He got back to his table when he was off the air, and there was an older lady there who needed a chair. And what did Jim Acosta do?
He gave her his chair.
He took his chair out from behind the ropes and set it down.
Yeah.
And that changed the mood of at least some portion of the people at that rally. And that's what we need to see more
But
of.
that's inexcusable that the people at that rally started to chant against him. I find it inexcusable. Okay?
I agree.
All right, there's
What do you mean, like build that wall and do all this kind of chants and stuff?
Build that wall. Who's that hurting? Okay.
I'm not talking about hurting anybody.
Okay,
I'm
but-
telling how the president uses his base to critique and criticize other people and chants, and then what to do.
Well,
Run him out, beat him up, I'll pay your fine. That kind of stuff.
Like Maxine Waters saying, run up on them and accost them.
I'd
You know, and
she had no right to do what she did.
Fonda? Okay, Fonda with the tweet he did. Oh, let's take Barron Trump and lock him up with some pedophiles. Come on, let's improve our narrative. Let's be smarter in this society.
Let's start at the top.
I read an article with this Kirsten
Nielsen.
Nielsen.
Is it Kirsten or Christian?
Kirsten, something like that, yes.
Anyway, the point is, somebody expressed just amazement that this woman would even consider eating in a Mexican restaurant because of the Mexican crisis.
And she had not yet visited the border.
What does that have to do with eating at a Mexican restaurant?
Because of all the turmoil you have down there, and
But
she hasn't
it has
visited.
nothing to do
Donald
with
Trump
it.
ordered a taco salad on Cinco de Mayo, and he was grilled for it.
And
I mean,
I mean,
He ordered a taco salad.
somebody said that
someone ate at a Mexican restaurant. What's the big deal?
Well,
allow them to eat in peace.
it's the same thing. Somebody says he had a salad and he had Russian dressing. It's the same thing. Everybody
Pam
is
Bondi
after
went to
everybody.
the movie with her boyfriend.
We are so filled up and tied up with this minutia. Again, to my point earlier, we're never going to get anything done. Because
But a lot's getting done. A lot's getting done.
We are
But
managing
there's so much
minutia.
obstruction going on. The people who we have elected to represent us.
And I will tell you, Ron, I will say that same obstruction happened on the other side to President Barack Obama.
Starting day one.
Starting day one.
And Mitch McConnell says that's his full-time job. Make sure he doesn't win again.
And frankly, the same thing happened at some level to Bill Clinton.
Okay, so what are we doing?
And the only benefit that Bush had was he had not, this isn't really a benefit, but he had 9/11. All of a sudden, the political sway gave him leverage because he was essentially treading water up until.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, that's all we have to say on that. We're 3 minutes over on that one as well. Coming up next, the Supreme Court upholds President Trump's travel ban. We'll talk about that one in 3 minutes.